Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, host of the State of the Saints podcast. On this edition, we're going to be putting the final nail in the coffin that is preseason game number 2. Which quarterback made a case for themselves to be the starter, or did both of them make a case? We'll talk about that. But of course, y'all see the background behind me, so you already know where I'm at.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I gotta say is, who dat?
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on this edition, we're going to be giving our final thoughts on Saints preseason game number 2. And did any of these quarterbacks make a case for themselves to be the day one starter? But of course, I want to give a special shout out to everybody in the chat right now. If you're watching this, whether you're at work, whether you're at home, at the gym, I really do appreciate it. It was extremely humbling to see such a huge support from the Who Dat Nation on the watch along / post game edition of the State of the Saints podcast on Sunday. Thank you all so much. We gained quite a few subscribers, and I just thank you all for subscribing to the channel, for those that have, and for those that have been rocking with the State of the Saints, no matter if you came in 2018 or you came along the way. I really do appreciate that. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk a little bit about Saints preseason game number 2. The Saints took on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you know, it was a game that was a roller coaster of emotions. It started off a little stale, kind of felt like a preseason game. Second half, things start to pick up a little bit for the New Orleans Saints. We got some late game heroics by Spencer Rattler in the offense. We're able to get down the field on that 80-yard drive with about 2 minutes and 11 seconds left on the clock. Spencer Rattler drives down the field, hooks up with Dante Pettis for the touchdown. Spencer Rattler scrambles to the right, converts the 2-point, ties the game at 17. You got Giannis Sinker, who had the interception. He returned it. Some people felt that should have had 1 second on the clock. I'm one of those people. But nonetheless, the game ended in a tie, and it seemed like it boosted the morale of the Who Dat Nation. I want to say this before I even start diving into this game and talking about some individuals that took part in it. I have to say that regardless to the fact that the game ended in a tie, it was extremely positive that we actually seen the New Orleans Saints offense and team as a whole fight to the very end. We understand that this team is limited. Like, looking at this team across the board, there are a lot of holes in the boat, so to speak. But the fact that they were fighting and scratching and clawing and trying to get themselves back into position to even try to win this football game was pretty optimistic, you know, considering things like, you know, everybody just expect for the team to roll over and die right in front of our very eyes. So that was a positive thing, you know, not giving up, not quitting and fighting. And I think that played a huge role to what, you know, guys felt about the game. And regardless to the game ending in a tie, it just made everybody feel a little bit more comfortable. The Superdome got a little bit excited towards the end of the game. You know, like, fans felt that feeling of, coming from behind, and it gave some vibes of hope for what the season can possibly be. I don't have an issue with the Saints, going through the motions, because this is a rebuild. I understand that. But I would have a problem if the team didn't show any fight, and they show fight in the game. And I think that that's something that Saints fans should take with them, and understand that even though the season may not be what we expect it to be, or want it to be rather, at least they're out there trying to do the very best that they can to try to put a positive and strong product on the field. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this quarterback competition. Tyler Shough got the opportunity to start in the game. We know that Spencer Rattler against the Chargers, he started the game. And Tyler Shough, to me, I go back and I watch the game, and I'm only just observing. I'm taking away all of the background noise, which is tweets and people's feelings about the guy. And I do want to start with this. I'm starting to see some energy out there that I feel like is unfair and I don't like. We have a tendency of having these expectations for guys, right? We buy into what individuals say about a person, right? And we formulate our opinion based on that. Now, when it comes to Tyler Shough, everybody was talking about his age and talking about, the fact that he is 25 years old and he's been in college for so long. He is, quote unquote, pro ready. But my question is, is anybody really pro ready coming from the collegiate ranks to the professional level? You don't know what you don't know. And people are quick to say, oh, he been in college so long, he's supposed to understand the speed of the game. The college game is completely different from the pro game. And also, I just feel like a tag is starting to be conjoined to Tyler Shough. I understand that forever and ever, Tyler Shough is going to be connected to Shedeur Sanders. That's just what it is, because you have individuals that felt the New Orleans Saints should have went after Shedeur Sanders over Tyler Shough. And when you're comparing these two guys, honestly, there is no comparison. When you see Shedeur Sanders, he walks around with confidence, the swag. I mean, from the way that he lays out his uniform, everything about this guy it exudes confidence, the aura that he has. And when you look at Tyler Shough, he doesn't really carry himself like that. I'm not saying the guy doesn't have confidence, but it's not on the level of a Shedeur Sanders. So people are comparing him to Shedeur Sanders. And because he doesn't operate like that, I feel like he is getting an unfair tag. The reputation is, the reputation that Tyler Shough has is a quarterback that can make all the throws. But it just seems like, to me, people are starting to slowly try to make this man like he's the poster boy for suck. And that's just absolutely unfair. He's a rookie, and rookies are going to make mistakes. And regardless to the age, you're going to make mistakes. And I just think that people need to give this guy an opportunity. I look at Tyler Shough, I think that there's some talent there. But my question is, are Saints fans going to destroy this man before he's even built up? Right now, it just seems like because he is not who some Saints fans want him to be, everything that he does is amplified. Like, I was watching a game the other day where Andy Dalton was playing. I want to say he was playing against the Cleveland Browns, and he was trying to go back to pass, and he tripped and fell on the ground, right? I mean, he laughed at himself. Everybody, yeah, man, it is what it is. Tyler Shough did it. All of a sudden, no, he can't play the quarterback position. I just don't understand that. Right now, it just seems like a narrative is starting to formulate, and I just hope that Saints fans don't buy into that. I just wish that they give this guy the opportunity to be able to figure these things out. And I understand that maybe you wanted him to be everything you wanted him to be right away, but it just does not work like that. But what I saw from Tyler Shough, I saw, some really good throws. I saw a guy who was sticking with the defense gave him, And I also like the fact that he aggressively threw the ball down the field. That was a really good pass that he threw to Trayton Welch. It showed that he trusts his tight end, and it also, showed that he'll let it rip. And that's something that he needed to do, especially when you listen to the reports and see that maybe he was a little bit, timid when it comes to aggressively pushing the ball down the field. Now, make no mistake about it. This offensive line is god-awful right now. And it is hard for you to fully evaluate these quarterbacks, especially with the first team, because the offensive line is basically letting these guys down. And if you have a bad offensive line conjoined with young, inexperienced quarterbacks, it's a recipe for disaster. So based on what I actually seen, it wasn't necessarily bad from Tyler Shough. I just don't want Saints fans to fall into that trap where it's like, like you ever seen somebody, that, okay, they're a cool person, right? You think they're a cool person. And then all of a sudden, maybe some popular kids or something like that start beating the guy down or ribbing him or making fun of him. Then all of a sudden you join in, right? But behind the scenes, he's your buddy, he's your friend. I just hope that Saints fans don't fall into that. Like we rolling with Tyler Shough, and then when somebody talks about, he fell on the ground, oh man, he can't play the quarterback position, and then all of a sudden you feel embarrassed about the situation. Now all of a sudden, you want to join in and try to bash the guy. I just want Saints fans to understand that it is a process, and regardless to how old this guy is, he is still a rookie, and he is going to have to learn how to play professional quarterback. But there were some good things that he did in the game. I don't think he necessarily made a case for himself to be the starter, but he didn't take himself out of the conversation. But he did a really good job, to me, pretty solid performance, based on what I've seen. 9 of 12, 66 yards, completed 70% of his passes. And, like I said, if you had another completion, that Chris Olave dropped, his stats would have looked a little bit better. But I'm willing to give this guy an opportunity. I just think that sometimes what happens with players, they lose confidence because maybe they're listening to the whispers of the fan base. And, and also if you got national media, making fun of you or trying to make you the poster boy for suck, is not going to help the cause anyway. So at the end of the day, I thought it was a solid performance. But, it didn't generate a spark. The second half, Spencer Rattler did just that. To me, I think that Spencer Rattler made a strong case for himself being the starter. And also looking at this game, I think that the New Orleans Saints should make Spencer Rattler the starter. And here's why. When you look at these guys' stats, virtually identical, right? They both are completing about 70% of the passes, about 230 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. They basically are mirrors to one another. I think that what this comes down to is the tendencies of both quarterbacks. And when you look at Spencer Rattler is a dog. And I'm talking about a guy who is really tough and is willing to stand in a pocket and stand strong and willing to take a shot in the chops if that means throwing the ball down the field to a Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave for a touchdown. You're going to need a quarterback that with that type of toughness if you are going to be competitive at all. The biggest issue that I have with Tyler Shough going back and watching this game is when pressure is in his face, he has a tendency of panicking just a tad bit. Now, it's kind of hard for you to play the quarterback position when you go back to pass or for a play action pass, and then all of a sudden, the defender right in your face as soon as you turn around on a play action. It's kind of hard, right? But his tendencies sometimes, are, if somebody's in his face, he starts to panic a little bit. Spencer Rattler, to me, has experience dealing with bad offensive line play and being willing to stand in a pocket and stand strong and take shots to help the team be effective offensively. And I just think that the Saints may need to consider the state of their offensive line and how they look right now when they're considering this quarterback position. There were 2 plays that I seen from Spencer Rattler that just showed me that maybe he is the guy that needs to be the starting quarterback. And it had nothing to do with Mason Tipton or Dante Pettis. It was actually 2 plays where he stood in a pocket and made a play, where pressure was in his face. There was one pass that he threw, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he threw it to Jacobson. It was a short pass, but he ends up throwing a pass to Michael Jacobson and takes a huge shot. And he's like on the ground looking to make sure that the pass was completed. Then there was another pass that he threw. He was under pressure. He spins and he stays in the pocket and delivers the ball to the receiver. Those are the type of plays that you're going to actually need when you're dealing with an offensive line that is struggling on the interior. So I'm not saying that you should just completely throw away, Tyler Shough and he has no redeeming qualities. But what I'm saying right now, this offensive line has some things that it needs to figure out. And until they figure it out, you might want to consider Spencer Rattler being his front runner right now. Who knows how the season is going to go? Maybe Spencer Rattler he'll hit it out of the park, or maybe he'll fall flat on his face. But you will hope that the offensive line is able to figure some things out. And, maybe Tyler Shough could get a fair advantage, because I've been a Saints fan my entire life. And I just know that Saints fans look at more so the performance and what a person did when it comes to like just throwing a football to the receiver, or, like them making plays. They're not going to look at the things that may prohibit individuals from making plays, like logical Saints fans will. But most Saints fans that you come in contact with, some of them will give you the benefit of the doubt. When it comes to certain plays, they'll tell you, oh man, the reason why he didn't make that play, the offensive line wasn't protected. Right. But you have others that are just like, oh man, he sucked, but there's no context behind it. So instead of like trying to completely destroy the confidence of Tyler Shough, with this offensive line being in the state that is in right now, you might want to go with a guy who has some experience dealing with rough patches with an offensive line in Spencer Rattler. But Spencer Rattler, to me, made some really good throws. I think he played much better than he did week 1. I think the magnitude of it all kind of got to him. I think that he was maybe thinking about the quarterback competition, not making mistakes, trying to make sure that he keeps that lead. And in the process, he ends up, pretty much not doing the things that makes him who he is. In this game, I mean, he came out there slinging it. Like, he came out there throwing the ball deep down the field. He was aggressively pushing the ball. And, I just think that, he showed a level of confidence. And, he wasn't concerned about, if the ball, gets turned over or something. He trusts his wide receivers to make plays for him. And they did. Credit to Dante Pettis, Trayton Welch. Shouts out to Mason Tipton, who had a really good game. 6 catches for 100 yards, making his case to be a part of the 53. But this offensive line has got to get itself together, because if not, then the Saints are going to be in for a very long season. You're going to have some good and some bad, no matter who's the quarterback. But you want to be able to have these guys be able to make plays in the pocket, because your offensive line is protecting them. Let me go ahead and read some of your comments here. And once again, thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate that. I got a clip that I wanted to play. It's going to be a little bit later in the show. Some of you probably seen the clip if you follow me on X, TJAY Jones 8. There's a clip that I want to talk about that involves General Manager Mickey Loomis. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments here. Jerry says, because of these fakers or bandwagons, which we do not want, are completely overboard. Yeah, I just think that people are clearly jumping to conclusions. Well, I don't want to say they jump into conclusions. I mean, this team is pretty top heavy when it comes to the depth chart. When it comes to starters, there's a huge drop off between starting caliber players and backups. But the positive thing about it is that we've seen some young players that the Saints have selected over the last couple of years making plays, right? Vernon Broughton, he had a fumble recovery. Sinker, he had an interception. Jalen Ford, he had an interception. So you're getting production from these young players, which is a really positive thing. I just think that the narrative is that the Saints are going to be bad, and people are carrying themselves that way. It's like, it's like basically being an actor or something, and somebody's telling you, I want you to play the role of a defeated Saints fan. And people are just following suit, and they're just looking at all the negative qualities of the team and not looking at things that are positive. This is a rebuild. And this is what people need to understand. You can't ask for something, get it, and then get mad at how it looks. It's a rebuild. A rebuild is not going to look great, right? It's going to have rough patches. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be some times where you're like, man, I just wish that, the team can get it together. But by drafting quality players and trying to get yourself to a point where these young players that you're selecting are making an impact, it's going to take some time. And I just think that comparing the team to what it used to be and looking at it now, I just think that you are doing yourself more hardship than, doing more good things. Doing more bad things than good by looking at what this team looks like, right now, and just saying, oh man, this is going to suck. And not understanding that in a rebuild, you got to kind of look at some of the positive aspects of a rebuild. Like, okay, if you're seeing young players making plays, that's positive, because if these players turn into cornerstone players and they give you some level of impact, well, guess what? You got these guys on rookie deals, and you can kind of get yourself out of these issues that have plagued your team over the last 4 to 5 years. So, I just think that Saints fans need to have the patience for that. And they'll say, oh, man, we've been patient for too long. But, yeah, you've been patient for too long, but over the years, they didn't give you what you wanted. So this is the first year in which the rebuild is official. I think everybody pretty much know what's going on with the Saints. You can't just say, oh, man, I've been waiting for too long. Well, you got what you wanted, but you have to be able to have the patience to see this thing through, which some Saints fans don't have. But it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly until they figure it out, and until these young guys figure it out to get better. Shouts out to Hoodie. Hoodie, thank you very much for the $9.99. Says TJ, crazy thing is that they ready to give up on Rattler already, but he had no games with the starters yet. All been injured, but Shough got a lot of Shaheed on Sunday. Still want to see him with the ones. Yeah, look, man, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm here to talk to the logical Saints fans, not the ones that are just so pessimistic every time something happens or overthrow. Oh, man, he shouldn't be out there anyway. Then he completes a pass. Man, I told you, man, he got something in him. Like, it's fine to be emotional about a game, a team. If you love the team, you're passionate about it. I get all that, but I just think that logic completely gets tossed out of the window when talking to some of these Saints fans. Like, it's not going to be an easy fix. The salary cap has been in shambles. The New Orleans Saints waited too long to try to find a successor to Drew Brees. Not to mention, instead of them going out here, maybe going after a coach like a Kellen Moore, earlier in the whole process, they decided to go with Dennis Allen, blaming it on the Raiders instead of looking at who they have as a coach. Is he a leader of men? They made these mistakes. And because of that, it pushed it back further and further. So right now, the Saints are in the process of trying to have a brand new culture, like legitimately. And people, are not willing to have the patience to do that. Everything that happens that may, involve some level of development, people are ready to jump off the cliff and say it's just not going to work. But and when you're dealing with a rebuild, you have to have the patience to see it through. If not, then you might as well just turn your TV off and maybe watch something else or follow another team. Because you're going to put yourself through a lot of hardship. TJ, just a thought: if they start Rattler, why did we draft a quarterback in the second round and not get another offensive lineman? Well, here's the thing. I think number one, it had a lot to do with the fact that maybe Kellen Moore wanted to select a quarterback of his own. I also feel like maybe the New Orleans Saints looked at Spencer Rattler, felt like, there's something there, but maybe we need something a little bit more from a quarterback like Tyler Shough. I don't think they took into consideration that Spencer Rattler would just honestly just take this, as a sign of or a declaration of war and basically try to become the best version of himself as possible. And you can tell, just looking at Spencer Rattler, like there are some improvements that have taken place from year 1 to year 2. So to me, you're making it very, very interesting if you're Spencer Rattler, by going out there, becoming the best version of yourself and really pushing Tyler Shough. And to me, I'm happy that it happened because you never know. I mean, injuries occur, things happen, and you're going to need these quarterbacks to be, the best they can possibly be because there's a chance that both of these quarterbacks can end up playing. But I just think that maybe the Saints looked at the quarterback situation, maybe felt like they can bring somebody in to give them a little bit more. But also when it comes to Kellen Moore, like maybe like Spencer Rattler is not Kellen Moore's guy, right? So he probably just wanted a quarterback of his own. It's not the fact I don't feel like he trusts Spencer Rattler. It's just the fact that Spencer Rattler wasn't his guy. So are you going to hitch your wagon to somebody that has some question marks surrounding him? Or are you going to try to find somebody who has question marks, but he's your handpicked guy and you feel like you can build him in your image? So I understand, him trying to go after a quarterback, but, I don't think they really accounted for the fact that Spencer Rattler might take this, like I said, as a declaration of war and just go out there and just play the best that he possibly can. I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. I'll get back to the comments in just a second. I want to play a clip. This was something that I brought up on Sunday as we were watching the game. And, it's something that has stuck with me since it happened. Mickey Loomis, he had a press conference when the draft was all said and done. And I believe it was Fletcher Mackel who asked him this question in regards to the Saints selecting a certain type of player and how the draft process works. I'm paraphrasing here. But he basically asked about, how the Saints, how do they evaluate the talent? Like, what do they look for in players when they are going through the process? And this is what Mickey Loomis said. And I thought that this was very telling. Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what other teams do, but I know makeup, which is what we're talking about, that's really important to us. It's really important to us. And there are, things that we look for. Our guys, team captains, are they, have they been through some adversity and come out the other side of that? Have they, are they intelligent football players? And so I think that's one of the things, team captain, are they good teammates, number one, So those are things that we spend a lot of time talking about. And frankly, there are guys that we rule out because it's not good enough for us in our eyes. So, yes.
So, first off, I'm not going to sit up here and just go and just bash Mickey Loomis. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody kind of knows how I feel about Mickey at this point. But I played that clip because I felt like this was very telling. And it really pretty much sums up the state of the Saints, no pun intended, in a nutshell. Mickey Loomis and the way that the Saints evaluate talent, in my humble opinion, is one of the main reasons why I feel like this team can't get over the hump over the last couple of years. Because it seems to me when you have a bunch of players that, I'm not saying that they don't have levels of toughness about them, but you have a fair share of players on this team that are undrafted, unproven, basically had to do things the hard way. And with that, it has like this American Idol type feel to it where, you know, you sing a song, you get the golden ticket, and now you're on your way to Hollywood. You're just excited at the moment. You're not trying to rock the boat or anything like that. Like, you just excited to be in the room. You just excited to get the golden ticket. And with that, I just feel like it's good that you have players like that. If you want continuity and, you know, positive energy in the locker room, I get all that. But you also are robbing yourself out of getting players that can give you an immediate impact. The fact that he said that maybe some players that we're not going to select because they're not good, we don't feel like they're good enough. Like, in what way? Like, maybe we don't know what these players are actually going through. We don't know why these players, you know, may carry themselves the way that they do. You should believe in your infrastructure. You should believe that you have the infrastructure around these players to get the best of them and for them to stay focused. For example, let's look at the Philadelphia Eagles, because Lord knows everybody does. The Philadelphia Eagles, they get guys with different type of personalities. They get guys that are dogs, right? You know, you look at a defensive tackle like Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter came into the NFL with baggage. I'm not going to go into the details of what happened. Feel free to look it up, you know, Jalen Carter during the draft process. He came into the NFL with some baggage, right? The Philadelphia Eagles end up drafting Jalen Carter, and as of right now, since the retirement of Aaron Donald, he's probably the best interior tackle in the entire NFL. But the Philadelphia Eagles understood the baggage that came with him, but they didn't shy away from him. They put an infrastructure around him in the form of his former teammates and also individuals that can work with him so he can stay focused. You should trust that you have that infrastructure. But looking at guys and saying, I don't know if he's going to be able to work out because he got in trouble in college, that ain't good enough, right? And also, I'm noticing a little bit of a trend over the last couple of years where it just seems like when players are outspoken or players believe in themselves or players, you know, kind of buck the system a little bit, they just basically rather they trade the players or they get rid of them. Look at C.J. Gardner-Johnson. C.J. Gardner-Johnson played with attitude. He played with swag, played with confidence. It was time to pay the guy, and he was upset and, you know, said some things at practice, right? You have some players out there right now that are in contract situations right now, but teams aren't shying away from those guys. They're trying to find ways to work it out with their representation. What did the Saints do? They traded him to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm talking C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Akeem Hicks spoke against the defense a couple of years back. What did the Saints do? They traded him to the Patriots. Brandon Cooks got upset at a game where the Saints blew out the Rams, and he didn't get any targets. He wanted the ball. I think his quote was, closed mouths don't get fed. What did the Saints do? They traded him to the Patriots. Michael Thomas, you know, he had some injuries, but at the same time, him not trusting Derek Carr and Dennis Allen, instead they rather roll with Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, they got rid of the dude. All I'm saying is, you need rough riders on your team. You need guys with that type of mentality that it can be borderline goonish. You need a balance. Like, you need guys like Demario Davis that keeps everybody around and keep everything in check. Cam Jordan, you need leaders like that, but you also need some guys that's going to bring the energy. And the Saints are looking for Boy Scouts, or they're carrying their organization like a father who is trying to find a husband for their daughter or something like that. Like, oh, he's such a nice young man. Look at him. He dressed real nice. He opens the door for you. Like, that's all fine and dandy if you're looking for somebody that can, you know, be a good, you know, person for your daughter. But we're talking about a football team, and the Saints have got to change the way that they operate. I think that is all across the board. The passive aggressive approach that has plagued this team over the last 3 to 4 years is the main reason why the New Orleans Saints are in the state that they're in right now. These guys get whooped at the line of scrimmage from time to time because I feel like there's a mind frame that is going on with the New Orleans Saints, and they need to break away from that. You look at some of the best teams in the NFL, you have individuals with personalities, and you have head coaches that allow these players to be themselves. That's the reason why, if you go back to the early 2010s, the Seattle Seahawks, you had guys like Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor and Marshawn Lynch. And then you had guys like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was completely different from all those other guys. He was the leader. He was the God-fearing guy in the locker room. Then you had the outspoken guys who brought the energy and the enthusiasm. And it was a great combination of players. Guys talked. They were unapologetically themselves. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they were able to find success. And I think the Saints may need to consider some of these teams in the past while they're trying to carry themselves like the Steelers and feel like their organization is like none other. They need to start looking at what is making these other organizations be able to be in contention and being able to go to the playoffs every year and being a contender. And who knows, maybe this draft can be what they want it to be, right? Maybe this is the draft where guys are going to contribute. But just looking at a guy because he had a captain's patch on, or, he saved the cat, from a tree, or, he was a part of the Boy Scouts of America, I don't feel like that's just a good enough fit, or a good enough reason, because you're passing up on the Ohio State guys. You're passing up on the LSU guys. You're passing up on the Georgia guys, and they are making impact, and they're not even causing their teams any hardship at all. So I just think that the Saints need to change the way that they approach things, because if not, then you're going to see these other teams in the South run circles around them. I just think that is the main reason why the Saints are in the situation that they're in right now. Like, just think about it. Think about this, man. Think about this. As of right now, I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe these young players can develop into being something special. But as of right now, which player on the New Orleans Saints team do you look at and be like, man, that's the goon of the team right there? Like, who is the I know this guy, some people have their reservation about it, but who is the Richie Incognito of the team? Like, who is the CJ Gardner-Johnson of the team? Who is the guy that you look at and be like, oh man, like this guy right here, man, this the Goonie of the team? They don't have any. You got some good players on the team, but there's nobody out there that has that Goonish type mentality. Or at least I haven't seen it. I mean, maybe you've seen it, but I haven't. And I just think that trying to run your team like that, there's going to always be something missing. I don't care if a guy is showing up to Bible study. I I hope that you have a relationship with God or whoever that you believe in, but I don't feel like that should be a deal breaker. I don't feel like it's just the fact that a guy walks in the locker room and shakes everybody's hand or doesn't do that. I don't feel like that should be a deal breaker. If a guy can play and he can provide some level of energy to your team and make your team better at the respective position, that should be the reason why you're going after these players. Has nothing to do with the fact, he was a captain and all this kind of stuff there, because you are depriving the fan base and you're also depriving yourself at the same time. And I also feel like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And the New Orleans Saints, to me, are doing the same thing over and over again in the front office and expecting things to change. And it's not going to change. You don't have guys that can cover up some of the imperfections of your football team. Drew Brees and Sean Payton were able to do that. So no matter who you bring in, they were able to get the best out of them because they were special. But right now, you don't have that. You have a young head coach that's trying to figure it out, his first stop as a head coach, and you have young, inexperienced quarterbacks also that's trying to navigate their way through these NFL waters. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to try to change your situation? I can tell you right now, the way that the New Orleans Saints think when it comes to the front office is not going to be sustainable success. So it's good, it's good to have some guys, you want some guys with some high character, good makeup, of course. But at the same time, you also want some rough riders and some dogs on the team too. Somebody that's going to stand in the trenches and, be that guy. But right now, I don't see that. Maybe Kellen Moore will bring a type of culture in where guys could be themselves and we can see a different version of some of these players. And maybe, we'll see that. But right now, I don't see it. I just see basically a bunch of like-minded football players. And they're trying to figure it out and trying to win football games in the process. But you're not going to have continual success with that. That's just me. You need a balance. You need yin and yang. You need somebody that's going to be able to stand on business, and you need somebody that's going to be able to, talk shop. And right now, there's no balance. A lot of shop talking, but not people standing on business for the most part. Let's keep it real. If Cam wasn't so endeared to the city and team, he would have gotten traded during Dennis' time too for speaking out. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Cam Jordan is solidified. And, and with that, to me, comes like, a lifetime achievement award of contract extensions. The Saints run the organization sometime like a family-owned business. Like, oh man, we can't get rid of him. Like he's been here for so long. They conduct themselves, sometimes like, it's just a family-owned business more so than actually doing what's best for business. And any team, like honestly, any team in the NFL for the most part, I say like a high percentage of teams that would have a player like Cam Jordan, they would love them to death. But at the same time, they probably would have got rid of him. I think the fact that what you just said, Yella, is true. The fact that the Saints organization love Cam Jordan, and we all do, combined with the fact that, he's been there a long time, has played a role, more so than his production. And I feel like the love that they have for a player sometimes like overshadows what is actually going on the field. So, like if we're talking about what a player can bring to the table and what they have done over the last couple of years, like in any other situation, they probably wouldn't even have Cam Jordan on the team. I mean, I'm glad that he's a part of the Saints. I mean, I think his leadership is without question, top notch. He is definitely one of the faces of the league. He's an ambassador of the league. But if we're talking about from a business perspective, I don't think he would have been here. I think the Saints probably would have moved on from him. Or, another team, well, I don't think the Saints, but another team would have moved on from him, despite the fact that they have love for him. They would have looked at it like it's a business. TJ, my boy Kool-Aid Agoon. Yeah, I mean, he might be. But as of right now, he's a second-year player basically trying to find himself. Like, it seems like he has. But right now, I haven't seen enough of a sample size from him that that is, I mean, it's peaking, but it's not to a point where I'm saying that guy is a goon. Like he's establishing himself, and as the years go by, with some production, then we'll be able to see what that can actually turn into. But I mean, I ain't seen Kool-Aid in people's face. I ain't seen him like bringing it like man. I'm not saying he doesn't bring it. But it's a different type of energy that I'm talking about. I think that he's showing flashes of it, but it's not to a point where I would just rest my hat on it. You know what I'm saying? Like I just need to see it more. Knock it off, TJ. We good. I don't know what you mean by we good. Like I don't know. Is that rage baiting or something like that? Because I don't think anything that I said will resemble the fact that, I feel like the Saints aren't going to be good or bad. But, maybe that's just one of those things where I guess you just want to stand out. Mickey Loomis conducts himself like it's hard to get rid of a player, but that's a part of the job. You have to move players to make the team better. Yeah. I mean, you got to do what's best for the team, sometimes. But, I just think that maybe their love for certain players, trumps what they do on the field sometimes. Let me stroll up a little bit. I'm going to take a few more, then I got to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Saints continue bullying Falcons. Ark, we will never blow leads like y'all 28-3 and 26-10. Ring a bell. I'm telling you, they think they got a new incoming of Vic. Yeah, man, look, I think that when it comes to Michael Penix, I think that he's a talented quarterback, man. Look, I'm not going to knock Falcon fans for feeling like they got the quarterback of the future. I'm pretty sure it's an exciting time. I'm just not concerned about the Falcons like that, and this is one of the main reasons why, this is the main reason why, this is the main reason why when it comes to these Falcon fans, man, I just can't get down with them, man. I can't take them serious. Like some of y'all, man, y'all rock with y'all team and, I respect it. But at the end of the day, it's the same old song and dance. It's the same old song. I mean, it's like clockwork. At the beginning of the season, when things seem to be going their way, they got Jalen Walker and they got James Pierce and, they got Michael Penix. They got shiny new toys. They come out and they tell us as Saints fans, Panthers fans, Bucks fans, how they just about to run the table and how they just going to be better than everybody else. And midway through the season, it's pretty much the same old song and dance. Now, I'm pretty sure when it's all said and done, they'll probably be right. I mean, if you keep saying something over and over again, eventually it's going to happen. Eventually, the Falcons are going to make the playoffs and they're going to win the division again. So, but excuse me if I'm kind of skeptical about this, and excuse me if I look at this team and I'm just not impressed. Like, what history has shown us, and I'll get back to the chat. What history has shown us is it does not matter what the Atlanta Falcons do, the Saints always are going to find a way to beat them. It doesn't matter the circumstances. It doesn't matter the situation. They're going to beat them. Taysom Hill can be the quarterback. They're going to beat him. Darren Rizzi can be the interim coach. They're going to beat him. Dennis Allen, no head coach until, can be the head coach. They're going to beat him. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. And like I said, they only come around when they feel like they got a competitive advantage. That's when you see them. When they feel like things are bleak, you don't never hear from them. They will block you. They will not be around. They will not stand on business. For the most part, they will just go into hiding. And then all of a sudden, when they feel like the coast is clear, like maybe the Saints lose or the Bucks lose or something, they'll put out a little one tweet, to show that they're actually still alive. And then, if things start happening that's positive again, they'll just come out the trees again. And it's just the same old song and dance. And that's the reason why I have a hard time respecting some of these Falcon fans, because you got to be able to stand on business through the good times and the bad times. One thing about me, I don't care what the Saints are looking like. I'm going to support the team. But at the same time, I'm not going to keep on coming around when I feel like they got a competitive advantage. Like, oh man, we got Michael Penix, man. Y'all quarterback situation in shambles. Ha ha ha. And then all of a sudden they play the Saints and the Saints beat them no matter who the quarterback is. And then the next thing you know, you don't hear from them anymore. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, I understand the excitement, but at the same time, I also just look at the fact that some of these Falcon fans, don't really stand on business. So it just makes it pretty hard for me sometimes to respect some of them. There's some I respect, but for the most part, when it comes to social media and the ones that when I say something, whether it's on the NFC South Roundtable or something, I don't respect that. There was one person that was a Falcon fan. I mean, every single week when the Falcons were in the lead of the NFC South, they were she was going at me, this, that, and the third. Then all of a sudden the Saints played them and they lost. And then the next day I know I go back and she blocked me. So it's okay, you can dish it when you feel like you have a competitive advantage, but when things don't go your way, all of a sudden you go missing. And that's the part that I don't respect. But I mean, at the end of the day, I can understand the excitement about Michael Penix because, the guy's a talented quarterback, but we'll see. TJB destroyed Falcon fans on the NFC South Roundtable. Man, look, I I just want consistency when it comes to the excitement. You know, I only see a handful of Falcon fans at the NFC South Roundtable right now. When they were winning, like go back to like when they were on that winning streak, how many Falcon fans was actually in there? And that's the part that I just don't respect. I don't respect that, man. Like if you're going to talk noise at the beginning of the season. Not when things are starting to go your way. Let's see. TJ makes me laugh. Yeah, look, man. Look, it's all fun and games, man. I ain't got nothing but love for those guys over there. Like I always say, man, Berto is like one of my like really good friends. Like the only thing we really don't have in common is like our teams. Like everything else, like when it comes to wrestling, other things in life, like, you know, but at the end of the day, man, it's all fun and games, man. It's all fun and games and entertainment and just having somebody, you know, like being able to feed off each other. I have a really good time over there. TJ, I'm still waiting for that parade when they come marching on Bourbon. Yeah, we're going to see, man. But I think that the Saints, what they showed us was, you know, some really positive things. I'm going to go ahead and I'm about to end the show. I got to go ahead and go, but I am going to read some of these stats off. Spencer Rattler, 18 of 24, 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, had a cute quarterback rating of 95.7. Tyler Shough, 9 of 12, 87. Well, excuse me, 9 of 12, 66 yards, 87 passer rating. Both quarterbacks, you know, did some really positive things, did some things that they definitely need to work on. Credit to the Saints coaching staff for keeping these guys lock and step when it comes to the reps. They're virtually identical when it comes to the stat line throughout preseason. But whoever the quarterback is, I just hope that, you know, the offensive line is able to block for him. And I also hope that they decide to make a decision this week because, the longer this thing goes on, the better advantage it is for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, you can look at it from a competitive standpoint. You know, you basically got Arizona burning a midnight oil, trying to look for film on both quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, it still gives them the advantage. So hopefully we hear an answer. If I'm a betting man, I would think that the Saints will start with Spencer Rattler to start the season, especially once again, looking at this offensive line and their struggles. You just need somebody that's going to be able to go out there, hang tough in that pocket, especially when things break down. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Shouts out to everybody. I don't care if you're a fan of the Saints, Falcons, Panthers, you know, Buccaneers. I don't care, like any NFL team. If you stop by here, I really do appreciate it, man, because you're going to been looking at somebody else's content. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Also, previous episodes are available here on YouTube. Also, check out the State of the NFL that's available on YouTube. We talk about some of the hottest topics in the NFL. We do that, and it's maybe like 8 to 10 minute videos, kind of short, just kind of breaking down a popular NFL topic. So make sure you subscribe to that channel. We're really close to getting 700 subscribers. We started that channel maybe like a month ago. So thank you all so much for those that subscribe to the channel. And also NFC South Roundtable is available every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you come over, man. We have a really good time over there talking NFC South. And everybody that's in the chat right now, thank you for your comments. If I didn't read your comments, I do apologize. I do, however, have to read this one, this donation here from Alfred. Thank you very much for the $1.99. Says, did you see Kellen halftime presser? He was ticked. Yeah, I think that was a good sign right there, Alfred. Showing a different side of Kellen Moore. Sometimes people look at Kellen Moore and they feel like maybe he's a little bit passive. But just to show like that type of competitive spirit and that energy, and also that boyish enthusiasm towards the end of the game. I think that's going to go a long way. And I think that it's going to be infectious, especially if the team plays competitive and, they win some football games, especially if they win games they have no business winning in the first place. So they're hanging tough with some top NFL teams as the season goes on. But thank you all so much. Make sure you follow me on X at TJAYJones8. And until next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who dat?